This is Ethan, and I'm here with Dave, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 24-inch.
On this episode, we discuss our favorite songs on UHF with UHJeff.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Dave, it's been a while since we've had some controversy on the podcast.
Our top 5 lists are always so controversial, Ethan.
And, you know, as of this recording here, we've recorded 3 top 5 lists, but so far we've only put 1 out, and we just know that people are going to go crazy when they hear our top 5 UHF songs. You know, I can already see the angry emails, the angry phone calls, and it's going to be hilarious. Do you remember last time we did the Dare to Be Stupid top 5? And not too long after we put that out, we saw JW, and he came up to us, and he's like, "Why wasn't I Want a New Duck on your list?" Like he was just like furious, and he talks about it in the interview we did with him.
I still get flack at home from Jackie because I do not have Dare to Be Stupid on my list.
I get flack for it not being on your list. People will be like, "Oh, and you guys didn't have Dare to Be Stupid." I'll be like, actually, it was my number 1. Dave didn't have it on his list. I fought for it. I got it on the list.
It made the final top 5, right? So
it did.
that counts, I think.
This was a couple months ago that we recorded this with UHJeff. This was actually before the podcast launched. We were so excited to talk to UHJeff. We wanted to get this recorded, and we've been sitting on it for a couple months, as we said, but there is some stuff in here that I have not been able to wait for people to hear it.
Jeff Nucera, also known as UHJeff, he's the ultimate Weird Al superfan. Not only does he have an amazing priceless collection, he also wrote over 4,000 trivia questions and answers for Weird Al Jeopardy, and he's working on a Weird Al documentary.
And most notably, Dave, he is known for being the guest on episode 3-inch of Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
That is probably the highlight of his life.
It was all building up to that.
And now he's also the guest on episode 24-inch, our 2-foot show.
2 feet. I can't believe we made it 2 feet already.
We love Jeff so much. We're always happy to have him on our episodes.
Totally. And there was one thing that came up in this episode that, Dave, you and I have kind of been teasing and using as an inside joke for months. And we've just been waiting for this episode to come out so people can join in on the fun. And I won't spoil it, but let's just say we have big plans for this hashtag we created.
I love this hashtag. It's just so much fun.
So you have to listen closely. I mean, you don't have to listen too closely. I think we'll, beat it over your head a little bit, but it's in there. And like we said, the controversy is going to be ripe on this one. People are going to really disagree, and I can't wait to hear what people think should be in the top 5. And I expect most people will agree with everything I say.
They should agree with everything we say. If they don't, they're just wrong.
Right. And I know we explain it, but this is our definitive top 5. So the 3 of us had to agree on it. And I think you and I were expecting maybe a 20-minute conversation, and it was a little harder with adding a third person in, and I can't wait for people to check that out. So without further ado, here is myself, Dave, and UHJeff discussing and coming up with the definitive top 5 songs on UHF. For this next segment, Dave and I figured that we would come back and do another top 5, a definitive top 5, this time of the UHF soundtrack.
The album, full title, UHF Original Motion Picture Soundtrack and Other Stuff, which was Al's 6th studio album, released July 18th, 1989. And this was kind of one of those weird ones that kind of, got lost in the shuffle because like they never really knew where to put it. They never knew to put it under, you know, the soundtracks or put it in with the Al stuff. It is a good album, but it is kind of, you know, one of those ones that maybe not everybody has in their collection or has even had a chance to hear. So it's a very interesting album. And for it, we actually decided we would bring in a very special guest, an expert on the album, our friend UHJeff himself. Jeff
hi.
Nucera.
Hey, Jeff.
Hello.
Hey, Jeff.
How's it going?
Great. Thanks for joining us, UHJeff.
Yeah, so what we're
Having
kind
me
of going to do for this segment is we're going to kind of just go through. We each came prepared with a top 5 list of songs on the album, ranked from 5 to 1, and up to maybe 3 honorable mentions or so. We haven't seen each other's lists, so we don't know what's coming. But we're gonna go through and we're gonna kind of rank the songs how we want them. We're gonna give you a little bit of background on why we kind of feel that way, and then at the end we're gonna come up with a definitive top 5 list that all of us have to agree on before this segment ends. So
This could be a 7-hour show.
this
It
could
could
be a 7-hour show.
It'll be like a hung jury. We literally cannot leave this podcast until.
That's right. We literally cannot leave, and after 3 hours, we start cutting off bathroom breaks
That's
and food breaks. So,
And if we don't get done by the end of the night, then we each have to stay in a motel and have no contact with the outside world until tomorrow.
yes, just like they're electing a new pope. You know,
We've been sequestered.
Very similar rules.
All right. Well, I don't know what order we want to do this, but
I think since Jeff is our very special guest, we're going to ask him, Jeff, what is number 5 on your list for UHF original motion picture soundtrack and other stuff?
Well, it's part of the original motion picture soundtrack. My number 5 is Spatula City.
oh,
Does this count?
Okay, yeah,
it's a track. It's a track.
It's a track.
It is a track, and it's one of the things I like about this album is that we get, you know, we get into a little bit of sketch almost, which we don't get in any other album. And I love Spatula City. There's that jingle alone I would listen to on repeat forever if I could.
There's no actual Weird Al in the song though, right?
That is true. I assume he wrote the jingle. though.
Right. But we don't actually hear him singing, so that's a very controversial choice, Jeff.
No, you're right, and I stand by it.
Yeah, and that one actually made my honorable mention list, so I'm glad you brought it up. Yes, it was one of those ones where it's kind of like it was not really a song, it's more of a skit, you know. But what's really kind of cool about it, it's probably one of the most popular Weird Al skits, right? Because I got to ask you, you know, how many times has somebody sent a spatula to close personal friends of Al?
Yes.
Right?
Countless spatulas have gone into that mailbox.
Yeah, it is one. I mean, spatulas. They've come up here and there in Al songs, but really, Spatula City is where it got started, and it is just such a prominent part of Weird Al lore that all fans know that if you see a spatula, you're gonna think of Weird Al. So it's a good choice.
Yeah, it's so iconic.
Okay, good.
Didn't make my list, but it's a good choice, Jeff.
We're fighting already.
All right, why don't you go, Dave?
Okay, sure. So my number 5 is also a track from the actual movie itself, but this one's probably more known because it's played at the beginning of pretty much every concert, almost every concert, right? Yeah. So, and this is also probably, I think this is Al's only really instrumental song that he's kind of released, and of course that's Fun Zone.
Fun
I
Zone.
love me some Fun Zone.
Well, there is lyrics, Dave. It's not a full true instrumental.
if you kind of count that mumbling and the haze, but
Yeah, I
think it was really intended to be an instrumental.
Yeah. No, that's a great choice. I mean, I love Fun Zone. It made my honorable mentions because I love it so much, and it gets you so pumped at the beginning of a show. And getting to see them perform it live a couple times on the Ill-Advised Vanity Tour was amazing. It was
so good.
As good as it is,
it was so good
on the album and in the film. It is just so much better live. I really hope we get to see it with the strings attached to it with a full orchestra.
Yeah, that first note is just so like great, and like it just pumps you up. It's on my list somewhere as well.
All right, we got a good contender here.
Yeah.
All right, my number 5 is a parody. She Drives Like Crazy.
Okay. Actually, why don't you let us know why is that on your list, Ethan?
Oh,
yes, Ethan. Why
is it not on your lists?
it's
It's on my sheet of paper.
I love this song.
not on my list.
I have always heard the choruses of this song is Al singing like Kermit the Frog, which I love. And this weird thing happened. I thought that this was a parody because the Muppets did a cover of She Drives Me Crazy, and I never had heard the original. I'd only heard the Muppets one, and I never did any research into it. So I always assumed that Al was parodying a Muppets song, and that's why he does the Kermit voice. But upon further research, it turns out that, in fact, the Muppets cover came out after Al's parody. So I think that Al influenced the Muppets with She Drives Like Crazy.
That is a valid theory.
I think it's a ridiculous song, and it seems a little crowbar-y, and I love that part of it.
Yeah, and just to be clear, it is a parody of She Drives Me Crazy by Fine Young Cannibals, not by the Muppets.
Right. I love the song. It's fun. When I sing it to myself, I get to do silly voices. It's a fun song. So that's why it beat out 8 other tracks.
It's one of Al's few non-polka songs, I think, that has like sound effects in it, right?
Yeah.
Other than like Trapped in the Drive-Thru, I think is the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
In 1990, I turned 16 years old, and that's when in New Jersey you can get yourself a learner's permit. So right about the time that I had this cassette playing in my parents' car as I'm learning, how to drive. This song would come on, and I would sometimes have to, stop and be like, well, are there really sirens, going on?
Am I really
driving,
screeching?
or is it because of the song? Are people screaming? Are the honks and the car noises, screeches? Is that because of me, or is that because of the song? So
Al does a nice job of reaching for those high notes though in the stanzas. Good for him.
Yeah, and what's kind of also interesting about this song to me is that for me now, after talking to Ethan, he sounds like Al's trying to mimic Kermit, but for me, like, this never really sounded like Al singing to me because of such the high voice from the lead singer. His name is Roland Gift in Fine Young Cannibals. He an English band. And he's just when you listen to the original, you can he sings in that voice, and that's obviously what Al was going for. But to me, it just never really sounded like Al was singing it,
But he
himself.
was. And that's why I like it.
was.
I just like it, how bizarre of a song it is. What you don't like is what I do like. So that's what I'm trying to say is I understand that there's no way you guys are going to let me keep this in the top 5, but I will
there are
fight for
funny
it.
jokes in it. There are funny lines.
I know. I got your license from Cracker Jacks, right?
Yeah.
Did a great figure 8 in the middle of the interstate.
Yeah, those are the
even
two.
hitchhikers
Those are the
just say
two.
no.
Yeah, it's my 5th favorite on the album. So
Okay, cool. Well, why don't you try to redeem yourself with
Okay.
your number 4?
Okay. Number 4, it's another parody, Spam.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Is that
I can get behind that.
okay?
made my
More
honorable
respect
mention
for that
list.
one.
Yeah.
I made my
Honorable
honorable
mention
mention, yeah.
for me as well, yes.
I really like the food songs, of course. Food album. I know it wasn't Al's favorite thing to put out these compilations, but as a kid, it was so much fun to listen to all the food songs. And Spam is just, it's so funny, and I feel like it definitely became like a pop culture thing from Monty Python, and I think partially because of Al's song Spam. I've always loved the imagery in the song, I have to admit, until a couple years ago, I always thought this was an original. I'd never heard the song it parodies.
Oh, wow.
And so
Yeah.
you can imagine my utter shock when I hear the original. I'm just like, what? I was so blown away. But it's such a fun, bizarre song.
It is fun, and Al and the band did a really great job recreating the REM
Yes.
sound in this one. I do love this song, and I scream along with it every time I hear it. I like kind of towards the end when he's kind of moaning the chorus, ham and pork, like he's clearly perishing from
Right.
it all.
Yeah, right. And if you kind of look at, and of course there's a parody of Stan by R.E.M. If you kind of listen to the original song, it's kind of all over the place, kind of like what Al is. It's just a fun song. And so it's kind of like, the tab is there to open the can is there to open the can. That's very reminiscent of the original song. So it's definitely, like I said, it made my honorable mention. So I think that's a good choice there.
All right, thank you. All right, Dave, how about you give us your number 4?
Sure. My number 4, also a parody, also from the movie itself. So I haven't hit any of the and other stuff yet. But this one is the parody with the really weird title, Money for Nothing / Beverly Hillbillies Asterisk.
Yes.
And of course, that really silly name came, from Al and his lawyers and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if Al was really ever happy with that name, but that's what was on the album. That's what stuck. But of course, this is a parody of Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. And it also kind of uses the lyrics from the Ballad of Jed Clampett by Flat and Scruggs, which was originally going to be our podcast name before we settled on Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. It was going to be Flat and Scruggs 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
We ended up changing our names legally to Dave and Ethan.
That's fair.
Fit with the podcast.
That was a commitment.
Right. So what I kind of like about this is I really like how the build in the beginning. In the original, the Money for Nothing song, of course, the build is I want my MTV. And in this one, of course, it's Beverly Hillbillies. I like the fact that Al got Dire Straits guitar player Mark Knopfler and the keyboard player Guy Fletcher to play on it, which is probably one of the first times that he's had the original artist actually play on it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it's not the first time that Al's ever kind of done this little thing where he takes the lyrics from a TV show and kind of and sings it to a different theme. He actually did that once before with Beverly Hillbillies as well, but he played it over "Miss You," by the Rolling Stones, and it was like a concert only song way back when Al first starting out. And even earlier, he kind of did something similar like that in Brady Bunch.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other really cool things I love about it is I love the music video and the quick and frequent, camera changes and the neon instruments and how true they are.
Funny. Yeah. No, they did a great job. Again, this is one of those things where it's honorable mention for me. But I love the concept that Money for Nothing is tied into, Jed Clampett striking oil,
right.
And it's great. I think it's one of those happy accidents that happens so often in Al's career, where I know he originally wanted this to be a Prince parody of Let's Go Crazy.
Right.
And he sings a little bit of it on the UHF commentary, the DVD commentary. And I just think that this was for the best. This version of this song is for the best. It's so much funnier. Al doesn't add a whole lot to the song. It is basically just the theme song from Beverly Hillbillies, just set to a different tune, which is it works. It's funny, and I like it. But it's not in my top 5. Sorry.
It is in my top 5. But I did want to add a fun fact. Jeff, you wouldn't know this because it hasn't aired yet, but in our interview with Jim West, we talk about this song, and he actually recorded his guitar part before Mark signed on to do it. So they ended up removing Jim's part and adding Mark's part. So I told him,
the nerve.
I told him, Jim, I want to hear the Jim West version of it. So he now he wants to do it. So hopefully he'll track it down and we'll get to hear it one day.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, and the other little tidbit that Jim gave us is that Jim, played the song true to what was on the album, the original album, the Dire Straits album, which he often does, because Al wants him to play as true as possible to the original album. And when Mark Knopfler had come in and done his piece, he had been playing the song for many years, and he was a little looser, so it didn't even so Jim's was actually more accurate to the actual album itself than Mark's, but they ended up using Mark because it was Mark.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Well, Jeff, I think we need your number 4.
My number 4 is Fun Zone. We talked about it, but I just, it's just so fun. Did you guys ever watch Welcome to the Fun Zone?
No.
I don't think I've had the opportunity to see that yet.
It's on YouTube, and it's fascinating. It's the pilot that this song was originally written for, and then not used, I guess, to bank error in our favor, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty intense, pretty weird. It's like Jay Levy wrote and maybe directed. And I think it's his finest work next to Gandhi 2.
I can't wait to see it. I'm going to definitely check that out. Just because it's already been said, I'm going to come in with my number 3 first, and that is Money for Nothing / Beverly Hillbillies **.
Nice.
Okay.
I believe the asterisk fell off for the reissue in the box set.
It wasn't even on the original CD itself, I believe.
It is definitely on my squeeze box.
Oh, it is?
It is.
It is. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think it was maybe more of a legal thing than an actual, title itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we got Ethan's. I'll do my number 3 because that's also, again, from the movie. And this one is I'm going to spend more time talking about this than the actual length of the song itself. Actually, there's not really too much to say because basically, but it is "Let Me Be Your Hog."
I can't believe that made number 3 on your list. That's amazing.
All right.
I kind of love it because it's an original that was kind of written specifically for that scene, where Uncle Harvey's in the pool, on UHF, and it's so random. It just makes me laugh every time I hear, the record skip and then kind of the oink oink oink, It's only like 18 seconds, but 18 seconds of fun. I just really like it, and I really enjoyed getting to heir it, perform live. It's just for me, it's just a fun song, so that's why I made my number 3.
Well, just to defend myself for a second, at least my pick that you guys didn't agree with was number 5. I didn't put it number 3. No, Let Me Be Your Hog. It made my honorable mentions. It's just, I agree. It's such a fun song, and it really was elevated for me when Al would play it on the last tour, where he would, he'd go into this long speech about how, it's offensive, and he just wants to play it, and the reasons he wrote it, and then it's Let Me Be Your Hog.
It was a lot of fun to do that live. I believe. Do you guys know what the original song was supposed to be? And that Uncle Harvey.
I do know that.
Of course you do, Dave Rossi.
It was Kung Fu Fighting.
Correct.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
And I guess Al probably he couldn't get the rights to it if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it's very expensive or something. Yeah,
surprisingly, I think that worked out. Again, another bank error in our favor.
Yeah, another happy accident.
Yes, I think that worked out well for us because again, I would have, otherwise I'd have Kung Fu Fighting as my number 3 song.
I need to share a personal fun fact. The first ever album that I owned was Pure Funk Volume 1. I bought it because I wanted to have the song Kung Fu Fighting, which was it was on an infomercial that I would always see. So it was before Weird Al, the first album I owned was to have that song, and I would listen to it when we'd visit my grandparents. It was a 2.5-hour drive, and I would sit in the car with my CD player, and I would say, okay, I just have to listen to Kung Fu Fighting 17 more times in a row, and then we'll be at Grandma's house. No lie.
What infomercial was featuring Kung Fu Fighting, by the way?
The Pure Funk infomercial.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
All right.
That's why Al couldn't afford the song because Ethan had purchased all the.
That's right. They're like, man, this is getting so many plays.
They're like, man, this thing is getting played all the time. We gotta up the price.
All right, Jeff, number 3.
Number 3 for me, also from the UHF soundtrack portion of the soundtrack, is UHF.
UHF.
Oh, wow! I'm surprised that wasn't your number 1.
I have some other extra heavy contenders up there, but UHF, I love this song. I specifically love the version that plays over the end credits of the movie. The album version kind of fades away, but in the film itself, there's like this little flourish and an actual ending to the song, which I think is great. It's such a cool song, and it spoke directly to my like couch potato brain at age 13. I was like, yes, I just want to watch TV all day long and not do anything. And I still behave that way as an adult.
It's only gotten easier.
Yeah, for sure.
This is on my list. Spoiler alert. But oh my God, it's such a great song, and I don't want to be a broken record, but hearing this live on the last tour was probably my favorite song to hear live for the first time. It was so great. Amazing. I can't believe he hadn't been touring with it as a staple, like as another Fat or Smells Like Nirvana. It's such a great song. So yeah, it absolutely deserves to be on the top 5.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it made my list too. And it just, I mean, it was actually, I mean, this song was actually the inspiration for the title of my website.
Right.
I got the lyrics a little bit wrong, but I did that a little kind of intentionally. I didn't want to copy word for word, but my website, of course, is We've Got It All on UHF, which can be reached at weirdal.info.
Yes.
But yeah, so this song is for all like the same reasons. Just put away your homework. Prime time ain't no time to think. It just really spoke to me as I'm just gonna say just be a couch potato basically.
Yeah.
And I love the yank reference in there.
Yank off the knob.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I also love like in the middle he like goes into this like weird Southern character, like we gonna show you things you ain't ever seen. It's like, who's that guy? Where did he come from?
Yeah, and another thing I like about this song is that it's like and Jeff, you alluded to it. It's a long song. It's like 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's just I guess he needed it to be to go over the credits, the ending credits at least. But yeah, I just love it. It's for me. It's definitely one of my favorites.
And the video, by the way, like the video is what I always imagined like a live action polka music video would look like.
Yeah, right. We didn't even touch on the video, right? The video with just all the different, throwbacks to all the videos that were popular at the time.
Yeah, those iconic. Yeah. I have a little fun fact here, a little personal fun fact. When I was cleaning out his garage a few years ago, one of the things I was able to take home is the blue claymation car from the Peter Gabriel segment.
Whoa.
There's about 30 years of slime and grime on it. So I really need to clean it off, but it's hanging out in my garage.
That's amazing.
So you got Al's car in your garage. Huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Does that car drive like crazy? I'm just curious.
One of the things, just out of curiosity, are you guys? I'm sure Dave Rossi at least is aware. No offense, Ethan, but the Al's Prince parody in this video is so funny. But do you know that Prince responded to it in one of his music videos by having a Weird Al lookalike?
I knew that.
I did. Even I didn't know that.
I knew that.
Really? Wow.
Really? What? Oh, I'm gonna have to track that down. Okay.
It was off of the Batman soundtrack. I think it was like a follow up to whatever the Bat Dance. It was the song from that album that was not a hit, which was called Party Man.
Okay.
And about 5 minutes into the video, there's a Weird Al lookalike, and Prince lights a cigar in his mouth, and it explodes for all over poor non-Al. It's like a pretty terrible lookalike, but
okay.
Very clearly supposed to be Al.
So very clearly, Prince was not happy with that, I guess.
Yeah, it's like, how is this a feud, by the way? It was strange. And I remember very specifically, Kurt Loder doing a story on MTV News about how that was going to happen.
Well, you've successfully offended me, Jeff. Thank you.
I apologize. I stand corrected.
All right.
Embarrassed, frankly.
Well, Jeff, why don't you give us your number 2?
My number 2 is part of the other stuff on the UHF soundtrack, and it is one of B.B. King's favorite blues songs and one of mine, Generic Blues.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
This song every line is so funny. It is Al at his finest. Every line has a punchline. It is so good. It's such a great satire of blues in general, and at the same time, it's a great blues song. It's just so, it kills me every time. I love it so much.
I love it. Not enough to put it on my list, but I love it just the same.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's the same. I mean, I love that song too, and it didn't quite make my list either, but it definitely is. I definitely see where you're coming from with that one there, Jeff. Just some of my favorite lines just are in that song, and that's probably some of those Al's underappreciated lyrics. Just like my brothers and sisters all hated me because I was an only child.
I'd flush
my
myself
daddy
down
was
the
a
toilet.
waitress.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, right. My daddy was a waitress. My mama sold a bathroom tile. And of course the fact that he's so down on himself, and then he's like, maybe I'll just go bowling instead.
So good. He's gonna flush himself down the toilet, but
Right.
he just clog up the it's
Exactly.
just so good.
That song also has a little bit of trivia that I'm gonna put out there for, or maybe Jeff, but I'm gonna put out for our listeners. Yeah, sure.
I won. I won Jeopardy, by the way, Mr. I lost on Jeopardy.
And this bugs Jackie a lot because it's even in the permanent record booklet and that Dr. Demento wrote, and Al said it on the Vanity tour before he performed the song several times, and he said that B.B. King lists this song as one of his top 10 favorite blues songs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
However, Jackie wants to know the citation for that. Where did B.B. King actually list that? And we've asked Al, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, I kind of read it on the internet. I don't remember where I found it." So what we're looking for is, other than or maybe Dr. Demento or Jeff or Ethan, but.
Thank you.
But what is the not that we don't trust Al and Dr. Demento, but we just want to see some proof that somewhere where B.B. King is saying, this song is on one of my top 10 favorite albums.
If you're calling shenanigans on Weird Al, I'm calling shenanigans on you. And guess what? I'm not removing it from my top 5. So there.
I just want to try to get some citation if it's true, and then I tend to think it is. We just want to see some proof of it. If anybody knows or can track that down, please, we're at 2000inch.com or at 2000inch everywhere. Let us know. We've been trying to figure this out for years. We just want to put a citation to that.
Sounds like you're doubting the almighty Al. I'd like to go on record and say that I believe this is a true statement. And how dare you, Dave Rossi.
All right, my number 2 is, it's the longest song on the album, The Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota.
Copy that.
All right.
What can't I say about this song? The first quote unquote long Weird Al song. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's like spatulas and spam. It's kind of a, the twine ball is in the ethos of Weird Al. It's just like when you hear the twine ball, you don't think of Minnesota. You think of Weird Al's song, The Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota.
Yeah. Now, I've never actually been to the twine ball. Have either of you been to the twine ball?
I have. I've been twice.
Wow.
Oh. Ooh.
I went 20 years ago when I was moving to LA. I drove from Philadelphia to Los Angeles and spent 2 days going out of our way to stop in Darwin. And we picked up souvenir miniature balls of twine and postcards that say "Greetings to the twine ball. Wish you were here."
Were the folks back home jealous?
They sure were.
I'm jealous.
Me too.
And then I went last summer with some of the tight and nerdy ladies as part of the documentary that I'm doing with them. And the gift shop has expanded, and there is a museum for Francis A. Johnson's, who created the twine ball. His legacy is now this museum sort of attached to the twine ball museum, which is pretty wild and pretty great. Last year when I was there, one of the volunteers was talking about she was like the sweet old lady telling stories about how she and Al kept in touch for many years after his visit.
Really?
His picture is still on the wall from when he was there in the 90s.
Oh, that's amazing.
Nice.
There's a can of Diet Chocolate Soda on display.
Perfect.
behind the register. I mean, they love that Al did this song, and people still come to this day because of that song, and I think that the town thrives because of it.
I can't imagine people going without being a Weird Al fan, like, you know.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of interesting. I mean, it's definitely a pilgrimage, and Ethan, and we're gonna have to go, and Jeff, you're of course invited, for your third trip out there, to go with us. But we're definitely gonna have to make a road trip up to the Twine Ball at some point. But it definitely is a pilgrimage to for Al fans, kind of like one of the things that like every Al fan kind of has to do, like kind of like the Elvis fans have to go to Graceland, Al fans kind of have to go to the Twine Ball,
right.
For sure.
Yeah.
I have a philosophical question about this song, you guys.
Okay.
And maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe. And I'll admit that. But here we go. If Al starts off by saying he's got 2 weeks of vacation time after working all year down at Big Roy's Heating and Plumbing.
Yes.
Then they drive straight through for 3 whole days and nights to get to the Twine Ball.
Mm-hmm.
They stay one night at the Twine Ball Inn, and in the morning they're on their way home again, presumably taking the same route, 3 days and nights.
Okay.
That's a week. What did he do with his other week of vacation? And where is that song?
Oh, that's going to be the sequel.
Wow.
I want it.
Wow.
I want it so badly.
Yeah, and I think I'm left here, so I'm going to say that actually was my number 2 song as well, Ethan.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I really like about it is it was really Al's first storytelling songs, kind of along the lines of kind of other people had done, kind of like a Harry Chapin or Gordon Lightfoot type, and and it's really cool like that. You kind of mentioned a little bit like who would go there if it wasn't for the song. Well, there's like a whole book, and I think Al got this from this book, The Roadside America,
right.
which is just like these little campy, tourist, stops that, like the Elvis-orama, and, the Boll Weevil Monument, and just all these places that like you would never go, on your own, but like if you were driving by, you probably would stop just because you're like, whoa, what is that?
And to this day, I look at like the Roadside America type of, there's like a website, and I search for those kinds of places because of the song. Really, it's like what weird thing is in this town that I'm going to be in, and how can I get there?
Yeah,
I totally agree with that. Like it's added like a nostalgia for those sort of things for me, even though I've never really visited, any of the ones in the song. But it's like I'm the same way. Like if I hear this town's famous because they have a big, or those muffler men or whatever, or giant gorillas. Like I want to go visit that.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah,
it's such a strange monument to like just nonsense, I mean, there's that Twine Ball is giant, and what is it doing there?
what
was going through his mind?
Yeah,
what really
Where
changed,
that part of the song kills me every time. It's just like, what was he trying to, like, who is he trying to impress? Like, yes, those are the things that are like, why? What's happening?
The thing that really blew my mind about this song came last year. Back to the Ill-Advised Vanity Tour, was when he introduced the song. He introduced it not as the biggest ball of twine that lives in Minnesota. It's the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota, because it's not the biggest ball of twine. It just happens to be the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota, and I never got that realization until hearing him say it live on stage. And I was like,
there is.
Oh my god!
Definitely at least one bigger ball of twine, but this is. And the folks in Darwin will tell you this is the biggest ball of twine made by one man.
Right.
And that man is Francis A. Johnson.
Yes.
That didn't fit in the song title, though. It was already a long time.
Correct. But it fits on the T-shirts, just barely.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, my good friend, who I'm sure you both know, Jeremy Samples, visited last year, and I sent him a laundry list of souvenirs that I needed to own. So this is one of my all-time favorite shirts. This is my twine
Oh
ball
yeah,
shirt.
Jeremy picked me up a twine ball shirt and a souvenir miniature ball of
Yes.
twine, and
It's great.
yeah, it definitely.
So great.
All right, I think it's time, guys. I think it's time for number one.
All right. Well,
Oh,
before
boy.
anyone reveals it, does anyone have a number one that hasn't been mentioned yet?
I do not.
My number one has been mentioned.
Mine too. Okay. If there was one of those, then I would have had us, save that. Jeff's our guest. Jeff, you give us your number one.
Well, we were just talking about it. My number one is The Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota. It's the perfect song. I remember the first tour I saw Al on was the Bad Hair tour, and this song was on the set list. And the first time I went backstage, I thanked him for playing the song, and he said, "Oh, I added it to the set list because I heard it was your favorite."
Aww.
And I'm certain that was not true, but it was such a nice thing to say, and I loved it so much.
Oh, incredible! All right, should I go or should you go, Dave?
Yeah, well, I'll go because
I
my
think we have
number
the same one.
Yeah,
I'm so mad at both of you already. Go ahead. No.
Yeah, no, my number one, of course, the inspiration, for my website, and of course the theme song from the movie itself, UHF.
Mine too.
Yeah.
I can't be mad at that.
It's such a good song. It's
a great song. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to beat. All right. Well, we've gone through the list. We have some agreements. We have some disagreements.
We do. We have some violent disagreements.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's give a recap and make sure we can know what everyone's list is and make sure we got it accurate here. So for myself, my number 5, Fun Zone. My number 4, Money for Nothing, Beverly Hillbillies ***. My number 3, Let Me Be Your Hog. Number 2, Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota, and number 1 is UHF.
My top 5 in order from 5. Number 5 is She Drives Like Crazy. Spam, Money for Nothing / Beverly Hillbillies ***. The Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota at number 2, and then number 1, UHF.
And mine, Spatula City at number 5, Fun Zone at 4, UHF at 3, Generic Blues at number 2, and it will never leave. And number 1 for me is The Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota.
Okay, so at this point, we've got our top 5 list, and we're going to try to, in some reasonable amount of time, put together.
I hope you guys brought snacks because Generic Blues will not fall out of the top 5 today. I will not let it.
All right. Well, I think what we did before, Dave, is we tried to figure out what are our common grounds. Which ones do we all have? So, we all have UHF on our top 5.
Yeah.
So
yes, I agree.
UHF is on there. We all have Biggest Ball of Twine.
Yep.
I don't think, Jeff, you didn't have Money for Nothing, did you?
I didn't. It was in my
honorable mentions, okay. Right?
And then you guys didn't have Spam or She Drives Like Crazy.
No.
All right. So okay.
But Dave and I both had Fun Zone, right?
Yeah, we had Fun Zone.
Ethan, do you have Fun Zone?
I did not have Fun Zone. So what I suggest, because there are 2 that we have on our list, I think that UHF and Biggest Ball of Twine deserve to be in the top 2 because the 3 of us agree.
I love that.
Okay.
So now
we just got to
have to figure out where it goes. So Dave and I each had UHF as our number 1. Where was your UHF?
Here, my UHF was number 3,
okay.
and Twine Ball was number 1 for me. And here's why Twine Ball was number 1. Number 1 reason for that is you get more Al for your dollar. It's such a long song. And number 2, end of list.
I could see an argument. I mean, I had some difficulty really trying to pick number 1 and number 2 because was going back and forth. I could really see an argument for either one of those being number 1 or number 2. The first concert I went to was in 1992, and Al didn't perform either one of those songs, but I definitely was hoping he would do The Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota. The first time I heard that, I think a conga line broke out while the song was being performed live.
Yeah, I think I was at that show. That was in Disney.
No way.
Yeah, Red Bank, right? Not Red Bank. Yeah. Was it Red Bank?
Was it Red Bank or was it
New Brunswick? Was it New Brunswick?
New Brunswick.
Right?
It was
Yeah,
definitely
New Brunswick. Yes,
yeah.
New Brunswick. Yeah. A conga line broke out, which I participated in, and then got yelled at by the.
Yep. Me too.
So I mean, for me, UHF, I pulled for my website, but I could see the argument either way.
I just love. I mean, Twineball is such a great epic tale of Americana, and UHF also is in a strange way a tale of Americana,
right?
Just in a lazier kind of way, the lazy Americana, So yeah, the two of them, I mean, it's a toss up. It's definitely tough.
I mean, I'm fine with putting Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota as number one.
I am fine with that as long as Beverly Hillbillies makes it on the list somewhere.
I was gonna argue for Let Me Be Your Hog.
You got to pick your battles. No, I'm okay. I'm okay with Twineball being number one as long as UHF is number two.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm definitely down with Money for Nothing. I think getting on the list as well.
Yes, I'll support this. I'll make this sacrifice.
Since I know I'm not going to convince you guys on She Drives Like Crazy and Spam, I need to pick my battles here.
All right. I mean, are we okay with Money for Nothing, Beverly Hillbillies Asterisk as
number three?
As our number three?
I support that.
I can get behind that as number three. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Is it above Fun Zone? I'm just going to ask the room.
Yes.
It is on my list.
Okay.
But again, I could be convinced.
Okay.
I don't have an argument.
Okay.
Good argument.
Okay.
All right,
So top three out of the way. We got two left. I think we should just run through our list of songs that are not yet in the top five that were in our top five. So for mine, it's Spam and She Drives Like Crazy.
You're probably not going to win that one. I mean, for me, it's Fun Zone and Let Me Be Your Hog.
Okay.
I definitely would like to see. I mean, I'll concede Let Me Be Your Hog if you guys give me Fun Zone.
Well, Fun Zone's on your list, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
And Fun Zone's on my list as well. Yeah.
And was there any others on your list that didn't make it?
Spatula City and Generic Blues, which I am very prepared to fight to the death for.
Well, I'm very willing to add Fun Zone. It made it in my honorable mentions, and believe me, getting 4 and 5 picked were really tough for me. So I'm willing to put that in number 4 if you guys are good.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
That leaves us with number 5.
All right. Get ready, guys.
Strap in, boys.
Okay, so you guys aren't going to go with Spam or She Drives Like Crazy. Is there any chance for me fighting for those? Or should I give up and pick a different side?
Those are a pass. Those are a hard pass for me.
I mean, you might have an argument with me for Spam, but I don't know about you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I would concede that one.
All right.
And again, I love Spam and I respect Spam as a choice.
And all of I respect every song on that
album. Get it out of the way.
Every Weird Al song ever has a place in my heart. So it's not. I mean, this is where it gets tough. Is like which one has a bigger place in our heart. Okay,
yeah,
so
right. and the good news is that these songs continue to exist after our discussion.
Yes.
So.
Okay, so my vote is for Spam. Dave, what is your vote for?
Well, I mean, the only other one I have is Let Me Be Your Hog.
All right, and Jeff, your vote is for Generic Blues.
My vote is for Generic Blues because every single line is hilarious.
Oh man, all right.
Let Me Be Your Hog is super fun. It's great. It's high energy. But Generic Blues gives us really what we come to Al for.
All right. Here, how about this? Jeff, if you will promise me that you will do some serious research and try to figure out where it was that B.B. King listed Generic Blues as his top 10 favorite blues song, I will fight on your side for number 5 to be Generic Blues.
I can give you my word that I will do my research and find out an answer for you.
That's good enough for me.
Well, that leaves me because, see, this is where it gets interesting, guys.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to drop Spam and then only pick between Generic Blues and Let Me Be Your Hog, I pick Let Me Be Your Hog.
Oh,
really?
I do.
May I ask why?
You know,
And then may I tell you you're wrong?
Yes and no. No, I mean, it's such a ridiculous song. And where else would you hear "Let Me Be Your Hog" but on a Weird Al album?
I don't know.
That's a
starting
true
to
statement.
convince me. Starting to convince
But
me.
Generic
Yeah.
Blues is so iconic.
It is good.
As just a piece, and it's like
There's more substance to it. I understand that.
There's more substance to it, and there's
more lyrics.
There's more thought in it. I mean, I think the "Let Me Be Your Hog" is grade A choice pig, but the prize pig for me is Generic Blues. There are so many jokes and so many layers.
Yeah, Ethan, what about the guitar? Make it talk, son. Make it talk. Yeah, and then, okay, now make it shut up.
All right, you convinced me.
Where else do you get
I'm fine with Generic Blues being number 5. It is a great song. It's so hard. There's so many great songs on this album. It's hard to.
It is. This is a
really
very difficult album.
Yeah, this was a tough album.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at first I was like, "Oh, this is easy," and I picked my top 3, and then I was like, "Oh no, how do I fill the last 2 spots?" And you guys obviously don't agree with how I chose, but
I'm interested to hear everyone's. Sorry. Let's settle the top 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we did settle the top 5.
I think we did.
So
Generic Blues.
What I have is number 5, Generic Blues. Number 4, Fun Zone. Number 3, Money for Nothing, Beverly Hillbillies Asterisk. Number 2, UHF. And number 1, The Biggest Ball It's Fine in Minnesota.
I'm happy with that.
I'm very thrilled with this.
Perfect.
With how this went.
Wow. All right.
Nice job,
Pleasure
everyone.
doing business with you guys.
Yeah, but Jeff, was there anything else on your honorable mention list that we haven't talked about yet?
We have not talked about Aisle Thing.
Yes, that was on mine too.
Okay.
And it's one of those songs, like I just ignored it for years. I mean, when it came out, when it was new 30 years ago, I was like, all right, it's funny, This morning, I listened to Wild Thing by Tone Loc.
Yeah.
And then immediately afterwards, listened to Aisle Thing. And it really, it's the way it starts off as just like, it's almost like another verse of Wild Thing, Tone Loc is singing all about these women he's meeting and hooking up with. And then Al's song starts off the same way. Like, I met this girl at the Circle K and I'm going back to her house. And then and she wants nothing to do with him. And it's really funny.
It really, and what it's so, I mean, some parodies, I mean, I guess this one is included, where it's like you change one word to make the parody, but the word choice of changing it to Isle. I mean, who has ever thought of Gilligan's Island as Isle? Like, you don't think of Isle when you think of Gilligan's Island. And it's just such a brilliant, twist for a parody that...
To be fair, the end theme song of Gilligan's Island does call it Gilligan's Isle.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, you know what? My knowledge of Gilligan's Island is all Weird Al songs. So
it's weird that you're not familiar with the end credit theme song of Gilligan's Island. What do you mean?
I mean, I'm just in love with the skipper, so that's all.
That's right. Yeah, I'm in love with the skipper. Of course, the concert only song. It just isn't really like Al's kind of really hit on Gilligan a couple of times.
Yeah. Can I just this is one of the Weird Al Jeopardy questions.
Okay.
Besides Isle Thing and Couch Potato, this is the only other Al song that mentions Gilligan's Island by name.
Silence of all right, well, this is the next one that I'm gonna think of in the shower tomorrow.
Okay.
I think we're gonna have to open that up to our listeners as well.
Of course.
Tweet us at 2000 inch, Facebook at 2000 inch.
Come up with that question.
I had a couple of just comments about Isle Thing. It didn't make my honorable mention list, but I did. Listening to it, it was kind of the same thing. I would kind of listen to it, but I never really took a deep listen to it. For this, segment, I took a deep listen to it, and I really enjoyed it a lot. I think this is really, Al's first rap parody. I mean, he did Twister, but that was more of a cover of the commercial. But this is his first rap first, shot at a rap parody. Has a couple throwbacks, to the original Wild thing, like, or rather to Tone Loc music. Tone Loc also had another song called Funky Cold Medina, which Al references in the lyrics.
And the fact that, like, the mom comes in at one point.
Right, exactly.
In Al's version, which is what happens in Tone Loc's version as well. It's less creepy in Al's version.
Yes. We'll leave it at that. And and kind of just, to me, the idea of, this couple, spending, hours upon hours on end every night, just kind of watching Gilligan's Island out of everything, is just very funny to me. And also,
it's kind of binge watching before binge watching was a thing.
Right, exactly. It's kind of like, Netflix and chill. Well, let's do Gilligan's Island and chill.
Gill and chill.
Gill and chill.
We need to start working that into conversations.
Absolutely. I think there's a new hashtag. Right?
Gill and chill.
But also the fact that I did watch as a kid, I did watch a lot of Gilligan Island reruns, especially when I was homesick from school. It's kind of what they played all day. And it's the same questions that Al had, I had too. It's like, why didn't they just fix that stupid boat? It had a little hole in it.
Build a lousy raft.
They could build a hut. They could patch up that hole in the boat. And they also, they have radios and Ginger has like this entire wardrobe, which you wouldn't bring on a 3-hour tour. Like a 3-hour tour, you bring like a backpack and your camera,
Yeah, and maybe a sweater for when the sun goes down.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. You're not bringing your entire Hollywood wardrobe, and you're not bringing. So it's just the absurdity of. I know it's all for fun, but just the absurdity of these people stranded on an island with like these luxury,
Yeah, there's definitely some sitcom logic going on in there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm on board for all of it.
That's cool. All right, and anything else on Ethan on your list that we haven't got to yet?
No, not on my honorable mentions. And looking through the rest of the tracks that we haven't spoken of,
there's only
3.
Yeah, there's only 3 left. Let's go through them.
Let's talk Gandhi too, since Spatula City ranked so high for Jeff. Kind of the other skit from the album, and I think it's a great track, but it's not a Weird Al song. It's more of a skit, so it just doesn't rank as high for me. But I still
Agreed.
love it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny. But yeah.
It's
no generic blues.
Right, and of the 2 skits, I mean, again, it's hilarious. It's funny. I love the machine gun, fire at the end, and I love. I just love that. It's great in the movie, but I think Spatula City is a little more iconic.
Yeah.
The 2 skits.
Yeah.
So
you can't go wrong with the jingle. I'm just here to tell you.
That's right.
No, Spatula City is great. So that leaves Hot Rock's Polka and Attack of the Radioactive Hamsters from a Planet Near Mars. What are your thoughts on those guys?
Attack of the Radioactive Hamsters from a Planet Near Mars. I mean, basically, they're from Earth, is what that means.
Exactly.
I like the song. It almost feels like, a made-for-TV movie that might have aired on Channel 62,
right.
And I would watch it. I think I like it. It's one of those, to me at least, one of the few truly original Al songs.
Right.
It's not in anyone's style, and it's not a pastiche, and it's just like this is an Al song, and I appreciate
Al doing
that.
a rock song, right?
Yeah, and it's great. I feel like, maybe Flying Creatures from Outer Space did the sci-fi beat better. As far as those kinds of songs go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of the same, but I actually would probably rank Attack of the Radioactive Hamsters from a Planet Near Mars a little higher on my list than Slime Creatures from Outer Space. But let's not get, let's not get into that.
No, now we're fighting.
Not today.
But yeah, no. Again, it's kind of a cute little song, but when you kind of really listen to it, like it's doesn't really make a lot of sense, and I guess it's not really supposed to. It's kind of like, it starts out, with these hamsters that kind of show up on a doorstep, then they get too close to the microwave, and then all of a sudden, then later on he's saying, oh, well, if they came in UFOs, shaped like cigars, so which was it,
Yeah, it's sort of like a fever dream in a way.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, at some point, they're playing electric guitars, which I'm pretty sure was in there just for the rhyme. But it's just, the song's all over the place, but it is a fun original, happy, upbeat song.
Yeah.
This was surprisingly, at least to me, this was the B-side for the UHF single.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, it's one of only 4 Weird Al singles where both tracks were originals, and I feel like that was a bold choice on everyone's part.
Yeah, I would love to know the story behind that.
I feel like part of the story must be that like Twineball was too long to fit on a 45.
Fun Zone didn't have enough lyrics. Let Me Be Your Hog wasn't long enough.
Yep.
I think they were doing CDs at that time, though, right? So he could have fit on a CD.
Oh, that's
single.
true.
I guess, yeah.
Anyway.
Right, so the last song we have is to talk about is the Hot Rocks polka.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting polka because all the songs were either written by or kind of popularized by the Rolling Stones.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So this is kind of like the first time Al really concentrated on one particular artist just for the polka. I don't think this song has ever been performed live.
I read that somewhere. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
think so either.
That's another interesting trivia piece about it. But for me, my go-to band for wow, how are they still alive? And the lead singer has big lips. It was really Aerosmith, not the Rolling Stones. So I appreciate it.
So if this was the Dude Looks Like a Lady polka, you'd be all in.
If this was the Dude Looks Like the Lady polka, yes, this would be way higher on my list. I was never a Stones fan like my older brother was, and I think just out of spite, I was not into it. I wonder, I'd heard somewhere throughout the years that Al had approached U2 to do a similar style polka with just their tracks, and I wonder if this came first or if U2's polka was on the horizon and then got nixed and this replaced it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think Al's always been a Rolling Stones fan. I mean, he's definitely, he's done, concert only type of parodies of them, and they were the right time frame for him, growing up as a teenager and in college. So I don't know the answer to that question, but I mean that is a good question. I think he's just really a big enough fan of the Rolling Stones that he wanted to do it. And they do have enough hits that they can put together a polka of their hits.
Yeah, and I also always wondered if like this polka came about because Al just didn't have the time or resources to write in and star in a movie and also track down a dozen separate artists
right
to make a polka medley from the last few years.
Yep.
Now, is this the only polka medley that includes a song that Al parodied with Shattered?
Oh
yeah. Possibly, yeah. I have to think about that.
I can't think of any others.
I mean, it maybe some. I'd have to go back and look and see what were in some of his really earlier, like concert only polkas that he did, kind of like on the first tour or in his coffee house days. But I feel like there was probably at least another song in there that was parodied in some way. But off the top of my head, I can't think of any at the moment.
Well,
yeah, I mean, neither can I.
Write it down just in case for the next 4,700.
That's right. You've got your next trivia question.
No.
Awesome.
I already have an assignment for this BB King thing. God, you guys, that'll be homework.
Yeah, if you don't come back with an answer, by the way, Let Me Be Your Hog is number 5. We're gonna edit this out.
There's a lot of pressure on this suddenly.
Oh man. Well, guys, thank you so much. One more time, the top 5, according to Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast and Jeff, the top 5 all-time songs of UHF,
original motion picture soundtrack and other stuff,
are The Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota is number 1. Number 2 is UHF. Number 3 is Money for Nothing, Beverly Hillbillies. Fun Zone is number 4, and Generic Blues is number 5. Do you agree with that list? Well, too bad. No, you let us know. Head on to our social media at 2000inch, or head on to our website 2000inch.com and let us know, what are your top 5? What do you agree with? Is Jeff completely wrong by convincing us to put Generic Blues in there? Do you have any information about BB King's top 10 blues songs? Let us know.
I need help with that assignment.
Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. It was really a pleasure to get you back on the show.
Thank you for having me again.
This is Eric Roth, the conductor from the Strings Attached tour, and you're listening to Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Hashtag Gill and Chill. There is our new hashtag, Ethan.
Hashtag 2000inch, hashtag Gill and Chill, hashtag Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. I love Gill and Chill so much, Dave. We've been loving Gill and Chill for so long. I'm so glad that it's finally out there. People can enjoy Gill and Chill. They can relax and just watch Gilligan's Island.
I know what I'm doing this weekend. Gill and Chill.
Hashtag Gill and Chill. Thank you so much to Jeff. That was so much fun going through and listening back to it. I was fighting for all the picks I had all over again. Sadly, I didn't necessarily get all my picks in, but I'm happy with our final lineup there, I think.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the final list as well. I think we did a good job along with Jeff. I think we really came up with a good list. I don't see how anybody could possibly have any issues with our list.
I mean, after you get 3 Weird Al super fans and experts to agree, you kind of can't disagree with us.
Now, if there's a chance that you possibly do disagree with us, you have a different top 5, we missed a song that really should be on that list, you really felt that Let Me Be Your Hog should be on there, then let us know. So we want to hear what your top 5 is. 347 Spatula, that's 347-772-8852. Give us a call. Let us know what your top 5 is.
And you know what next week is, Dave? I'm sure you do.
I do. Next week is Weird Al's 60th birthday.
Can you believe he's turning 60?
No, I can't.
He seems like he's my age.
I think he's still 24.
Or 27. That is so crazy. He is the ageless man, and we were thinking it would be really fun if, while you're calling in and giving us your top 5 UHF songs, why don't you give us a little message for Al's birthday, and maybe we can even play it on the air.
Yeah, give us a call. Let us know what you want to say to Weird Al on his birthday. So you want to say happy birthday, whatever. Give us a call. 347-SPATULA. That's 347-772-8852. And leave Al a birthday message. We'll play our favorites next week.
And Al has told us he listens to the show, so he very well could hear your birthday message. So also, don't forget, you can find us on social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we're on Instagram. All of them are at 2000inch, and we're also online at 2000inch.com.
Yes, you can check out all of our back episodes, 2000inch.com. Also, we have a Facebook group where our listeners talk about our episodes, and we have great conversations there. So join in, use the hashtag 2000inch and hashtag Gill and Chill.
For the people who are very concerned about word crimes, it's Gill with 2 L's.
And Chill with 2 L's.
Yes. GILLANDCHILL is the correct one. It's the only one that we'll accept hashtags of. Next week, Dave, we have such an amazing guest. I cannot wait for people to hear this.
Yeah, next week for Al's birthday, we brought in somebody who has been to many of Al's birthday parties, the one and only, the hilarious Madam Judy herself, Judy Tenuta.
We had so much fun talking to Judy, and we also talk about something very special to birthdays for Al's birthday. I won't ruin it for you, so tune in next week on episode 25inch to check out our interview with Judy Tenuta.
Hashtag Gill and Chill.
Hashtag Gill and Chill.
That was Dave and Ethan's 2000inch Weird Al podcast, episode 24inch.
As long as one of us is confused, it's a good podcast.